There's a specific feeling that thousands of Canadians are living with right now. It's the feeling of walking out to your driveway, looking at your vehicle, and thinking, I wish I had never bought this. Not because it's a bad vehicle necessarily, but because it's costing you in ways you never saw coming. The payment that turned out to be a trap, the repair bills that keep landing, the fuel that drinks your paycheck, the value that collapsed the moment you drove it off the lot, the insurance quote that made you sit down. In 2026, with money tight across this country, the wrong vehicle isn't just an inconvenience. It's a financial anchor dragging a whole household down. And a lot of Canadians are discovering, too late, that the vehicle they were so excited to buy is the single worst financial decision they've made in years. Today, we're counting down the 10 vehicle purchases Canadians most regret, the types of buys that turn into money pits, traps, and regrets. This isn't about naming and shaming specific brands. It's about the patterns, because once you understand the pattern, you can avoid the regret. And number one is a mistake that millions of Canadians make that feels completely responsible at the time and that quietly wrecks their finances. Stay with me. First, why is vehicle regret hitting so much harder in 2026 than it used to? Because there's no slack left to absorb a mistake. We covered this in the abandoned cars video. The average Canadian household has run out of buffer. And when you have no buffer, a bad vehicle decision doesn't just annoy you, it breaks you. A surprise repair, a fuel bill you can't sustain, a payment that no longer fits. In a household with margin, those are irritations. In a household with none, they're a crisis. So the same vehicle mistake that would have been survivable a decade ago is now genuinely dangerous. That's why regret is the theme. It's not that Canadians got worse at buying cars. It's that the economy stopped forgiving the normal mistakes people have always made. Let's count them down. Number 10. The vehicle bought purely on the monthly payment. The classic trap, and it deserves the number 10 spot because it underlies half the others. The buyer never really asked, what does this cost? They asked, what's the monthly payment? And a salesperson happily engineered a low monthly number by stretching the loan out for years. It felt affordable, but as we covered, a long loan on a fast depreciating vehicle is how you end up underwater, trapped, owing more than it's worth. The regret isn't the vehicle, it's the deal. Number 9. The oversized truck or SUV bought for a life that didn't need it. Someone bought big, a large truck or full-size SUV, imagining the towing, the trips, the projects. Then reality. It mostly does the school run and the commute, while drinking fuel, costing a fortune to insure, and being a nightmare to park. They bought the vehicle for a fantasy version of their life, and now pay, every month, for capability they never use. In an era of expensive fuel and tight budgets, that regret compounds daily. Number 8. The cheap used luxury vehicle. We touched on this in the mechanics video, and it earns a spot here because the regret is so predictable. Someone finds a used luxury car or SUV at an irresistible price, a taste of the high life for the cost of an economy car. Then the first repair arrives, at luxury prices, and the dream curdles. A luxury vehicle never stops being expensive to own, no matter how cheap it was to buy. The low purchase price was the bait. The ownership cost was the hook. Number 7. The project vehicle. The one someone bought knowing it needed work, confident they'd fix it up over time. Then life happened. No time, no money, and every repair revealed 2 more. The project sits in the driveway, half-finished, insured and registered, and going nowhere, a monument to optimism. In a tight economy, the project vehicle is the luxury of spare time and spare cash that most people turned out not to have. Number 6. The vehicle with the notoriously expensive repair waiting inside it. Some vehicles are known within the trade for a specific, predictable, catastrophic failure. A transmission, an engine issue, a complex system that fails around a certain age or mileage and costs a fortune to fix. The buyer didn't know. They bought a perfectly nice vehicle that happened to have a financial time bomb ticking inside it. When it goes, the repair can approach the value of the whole car. Pure regret and pure avoidable if you'd known to research the pattern before buying. Number 5. The vehicle bought new, sold in a panic. Someone bought new, took the enormous first year's depreciation hit, then hit a rough patch and had to sell, and discovered the vehicle had lost a huge chunk of its value almost immediately. They effectively paid thousands of dollars to borrow a new car for a year or two. New car depreciation has always been brutal. What's new is that more Canadians are being forced to sell early by financial pressure, crystallizing a loss they'd hoped to avoid by keeping it long-term. Number 4. The vehicle that's an insurance nightmare. Here's one people never see coming because they research the purchase price and forget the premium. Certain vehicles, high-performance models, frequently stolen models, expensive-to-repair models, carry insurance costs so high they rival the loan payment. The buyer fell in love with the car, signed for it, then got the insurance quote and felt sick. In provinces where premiums have climbed hard, this regret has become brutal, and it's completely invisible until after you've committed. Number 3. The too complex, software-heavy vehicle bought used. The modern vehicle packed with screens, sensors, and software is a joy when new and under warranty. Bought used, out of warranty, it becomes a liability. Because as we covered, these systems are expensive to diagnose, sometimes impossible for independent shops to fix, and locked behind manufacturer software. The buyer wanted the fancy features. They inherited a car that's brilliant until it isn't, and ruinously expensive the moment it isn't. Number 2. The vehicle bought at the peak of the market. Timing is cruel. A lot of Canadians bought vehicles, new or used, when prices were at their highest, often because they had no choice. They needed a car, and that's when they needed it. They paid top dollar. And now they're watching values soften while they still owe on a vehicle they overpaid for. They didn't do anything wrong. They bought a car when they needed one. But the timing means they're carrying a loss through no fault of their own. This is a special kind of regret because it wasn't a mistake of judgment. It was a mistake of timing, forced by circumstance. And it's incredibly common right now because so many people were pushed into buying during the most expensive stretch the market has seen. So what's number 1? What's the vehicle Canadians regret most? The one that feels completely responsible at the time and quietly wrecks the finances. Number 1. Any vehicle that costs more to own than the household can actually sustain, no matter how sensible it seemed. Here's why this is number 1, and why it isn't a specific type of car. Every regret on this list is really a version of the same mistake, buying more vehicle than the household's finances can carry. Not more than they could afford on the day they signed, more than they can sustain through a whole ownership period. Once you add up the payment, the fuel, the insurance, the maintenance, the depreciation, and the way all of it interacts with a household that has no financial slack. And here's the cruel part. The number 1 regret vehicle is often a completely sensible choice on paper. The reliable family SUV, the practical crossover, the safe, reasonable pick. People don't usually wreck their finances buying something wild. They wreck them buying something reasonable that's just slightly beyond what their household can truly carry, and then a squeezed economy does the rest. Because in 2026, the margin between affordable and unaffordable isn't a big flashy sports car. It's a few $100s a month. It's the difference between a vehicle that fits and one that fits until the first bad month. The most regretted vehicle in Canada isn't a specific model. It's the sensible one that turned out to be just a little too much for a household with nothing to spare. That's the shock. The problem was never really the vehicles. It was buying at the edge of your capacity in an economy that punishes anyone who has no room to spare, which right now is most people. So, how do you avoid becoming one of these regrets? A few principles the whole list points to. And this genuinely isn't financial advice, just the pattern. Buy the total cost, not the monthly payment. The monthly number is designed to hide the real cost. Always ask what the vehicle costs in full, over its whole life, including fuel, insurance, and likely repairs. Get the insurance quote before you fall in love, not after. It's invisible until it isn't, and it can rival the loan. Research the known failures of any used vehicle before you buy. The trade knows which models have time bombs, and a little research prevents a 5-figure surprise. Keep the loan short, even if the payment stings, because a long loan is how you end up underwater. And above all, leave margin. Buy comfortably below what you think you can afford, not right at the edge, because in this economy, the edge is where regret lives. The people on this list mostly didn't buy crazy. They bought right at their limit, and the economy did the rest. So where does this leave us? The deeper story here is the same one this channel keeps telling. It isn't that Canadians got reckless with cars. It's that the economy stopped forgiving normal decisions. The mistakes on this list, buying a bit too much, buying at the wrong time, missing a hidden cost, are mistakes people have always made. What changed is that households used to have enough slack to survive them. Now they don't. So ordinary mistakes have become financial disasters. Which leaves the question this channel keeps arriving at. What does it say about a country when its people can no longer afford to make an ordinary mistake? So I want to hear from you, and be honest, because this one's confessional. What vehicle do you regret buying, and why? Was it the repairs, the fuel, the insurance, the depreciation, or the payment? And what do you wish you'd known before you signed? Tell me in the comments below. No judgment, we've all been there. I read every one, and the warnings people share in those comments have genuinely saved other viewers money. And if you want clear-eyed breakdowns of what's really happening across Canada, subscribe to Canada Insider. There's a lot more of this story to tell.